So if you're curious about the Merrifields, there's their baby. TLC posted that. Picture of their baby, very cute baby, already more intelligence and awareness behind those eyes than behind those. So they're clearly still together. That wasn't a surprise because they're still posting on Instagram and all that. But I want to talk about last night's episode. So that was episode 8, season 5, episode 8. And this is when it's announced that she actually says she's pregnant. I think basically almost anyone who's following any of the gossip knew that at that point. It was, she had this shocking news or something like that she was going to share, all of that. And what was surprising to me, after 3 seasons of this show, she finally starts to acknowledge, I don't think it's going to make any difference, but she finally sits down with her sister-in-law and acknowledges they're not in a good place. We've known that for 3 seasons. We've known that this guy will only put up with her as long as she continues to let him have wives. And that if it becomes a choice between more wives and her, he's going to pick more wives. And I think he would pick almost any of the other women over her. But as long as she is on board with his visions from God, his holy sperm, his sacred covenant of banging other chicks, he'll keep her. But it's really clear he doesn't really care about her feelings. I mean, he just basically kind of says, sister, go away. Don't talk to the other wives. Don't upset them. It's very clear. And if he says that on camera, what is he saying off camera? So it was really interesting to me because she has been professing to us the whole time that, they're great. They're in a really good place. She's on board with this. She is really into it. Even though, much like Shane and Ashley, the TikTok I just did a few seconds ago, how he's totally on board, she is not on board. And the same thing happens. He meets a girl. He's like, I just met her 2 seconds ago. I'm going to give her thousands of dollars in assets, and I'm going to ask her to marry me so we can immediately start banging. And you need to move out of the room in order for me to do that. What was crazy was, for those of you who haven't watched the show, because I know some of you don't watch the show, so him and Natalia were basically 2 months ago. He was home for 2 weeks, and then he packed up and went to Brazil to help her plan the wedding, because they're going to get legally married. So he will be legally married to a woman in Brazil, and we don't know how many assets she has in her name, but I'm guessing he screwed her over. She will have no legal right to him. But she's talking to the sister-in-law about how I don't really feel like, and he's been there for like 6.5 weeks at the time of this phone call. And she has said that basically they're not talking. Natalia's not talking to her. He's not talking to her. She's basically all alone. And she's now found out that she's pregnant. My first thought was, is she trying to baby trap him? She's already got 2 other children with him, but I don't know. It all seems so convenient to me that he came home and that she wasn't just like, I have a plan here. Maybe it was on accident. I don't know. Apparently they weren't too in trouble if they got pregnant. But anyway, she calls him up on the phone to say, hey, I don't know if I can come to the wedding. I'm pregnant. Let me reenact his response. Wow. Babies are a real blessing from God. This is amazing. And I swear that's exactly what he looked like. He blinked. He had a dumb look on his face. And then he said in the most, awful voice ever, she says, I don't think Natalia likes me. He's like, well, I think you'll get along better in person. So he doesn't even deny it. And then she's like, I just don't think I should go. I just don't think. And he's like, okay. She's like, I'm going to get off the phone now. And he's like, okay, I'll call you in a few days. And she's like, tomorrow. And he's like, okay, tomorrow. And I'm like, you just told anyone on this entire earth that you're pregnant? And he's like, I'll call you in a few days. That is so below even the most baseline of what you would expect from a stranger that you had a one-night stand with, let alone supposedly someone who's claiming to be your husband. So I already know what's going to happen, which is she's going to lure him back with more wives. And then the idea that he gets a whole bunch more wives is going to kick off the second wife or whatever. I don't know how it's going to play out, but that's what she knows this game. She's done it multiple times. But anyway, they had a baby. Lord be with you, little child. I hope you have a great life, because this is a mess.